Hello and welcome to the Cerritos College Financial Aid Office. My name is Natalie Gordon and today we'll be reviewing the financial aid applications. Today you'll gain a better understanding of the eligibility requirements for the FAFSA and California DREAM Act. We'll review the checklist of things you'll need before you get started. We'll go over creating an FSA ID. We'll review AB 540 eligibility for the California DREAM Act application. We'll also go over step-by-step instructions and common mistakes that are made in the application that delays us in awarding your financial aid. You'll get a better understanding of what dependency means for financial aid purposes, as well as a quick overview of the 4 easy steps to cash for financial aid at Cerritos College. You can complete the FAFSA online or through the mobile app, My Student Aid, available for Android as well as iPhone users. The online application offers a detailed explanation of the application process. However, the mobile app is a user-friendly platform that helps students complete the application for financial aid. Before you get started on the FAFSA, you'll need to make sure that you have all the required documents. So students, you'll need your social security number, or if you're a permanent resident, your permanent resident card. Your parent will need to have their social security number. If they don't have one, that's fine. They'll just be providing zeros in place of their social. Please remember, do not have them submit ITIN numbers in place of their social. Students, if you worked in 2019, you'll need to have either your federal tax return if you filed taxes or your W-2 if you did not file taxes. Parents will need their 2019 federal tax return as well as their W-2s if they earned wages in 2019 and filed their taxes. If they did not earn enough wages to file taxes, they do not need to provide tax information. Parents will also need to have their investment information handy as they may be required to provide net worth investment information in the application. If you're a student who has a social security number through DACA, or if you have a visa, you cannot complete the FAFSA application and you'll likely need to complete the DREAM Act application. The California DREAM Act application allows our undocumented students to apply for state financial aid where they are not typically eligible to apply for financial aid through the FAFSA. We have additional information on our website at cerritos.edu/dream for students to review more information about being AB 540 and undocumented at Cerritos College. You will need to submit your DREAM Act by March 2nd in order to be considered for the Cal Grant. In addition to the online application, undocumented students will also need to submit an AB 540 affidavit shown on the right-hand screen. I like to think of this as a big coupon. What this affidavit does is it allows us to consider our undocumented students as residents of California for financial aid purposes. This will reduce the tuition price from $310 a unit down to $46 a unit. Bearing in mind that if you are eligible for the Cerritos Complete Promise program, your tuition will be completely covered. Before you get started on the FAFSA, you'll need to create an FSA ID. If you have a parent that has a social security number, they should also create an FSA ID. Keep in mind this is only for our FAFSA applicants. If you're submitting a California DREAM Act, you are not eligible to create an FSA ID. Once you have your ID, you're ready to start. To sign into the FAFSA, if you are the student, you can sign in using your FSA ID username and password. If your parent is logging into your application, they can log in using your first and last name, your social security number, and your date of birth. Once logged into the application, it will ask you to create a save key. Please make sure to write this down as you will need to share it with your parent so that if they are accessing the application, they can sign in and complete their section. Next, you'll enter into the student demographics section. Here, you'll need to input information that is found on your Social Security card. This includes your first and last name, as well as your date of birth. Please make sure that the spelling of your name matches what is on your Social Security card. This will ensure that we can match your application to our database. Next, you'll be asked to provide a mailing address and email address. Please make sure to pick a permanent mailing address where you can access any mail that is sent over the next few years while you're attending college. Your residency status for state residency will be determined based off of the mailing address that you provide. So please make sure to indicate that you're living in California to be considered for the California grants. If you are homeless, we ask that you use a relative or a close friend's mailing address, or you can also reach out to a school counselor to see if you're able to utilize their address. Next, you'll be asked if you have lived in California for at least 5 years. Again, the state is determined based off of your mailing address that you provided. You'll also be asked if you're a U.S. citizen. This determines your eligibility to complete the FAFSA. If you are not a U.S. citizen or you're not an eligible non-citizen, then you may need to close out of the FAFSA application and complete the California Dream Act. You'll then be asked about your gender assigned at birth. If you were assigned male at birth, you will be required to register with Selective Service once you turn 18. For students who have not yet turned 18 and you're completing the FAFSA application, you can have the FAFSA register you for Selective Service on your behalf. We recommend that you do this. You can register for Selective Service as early as age 17 and 3 months. If you are completing the California Dream Act, you will not be able to register through the Dream Act application, and you will need to submit a paper form in order to register with Selective Service. Please don't wait to complete this item. Again, you can register as early as 17 and 3 months. Next, you'll be asked about your high school completion status. If you are a senior in high school, you'll need to indicate that you will have completed high school and earned your diploma or GED before you begin college in the 2021 to 2022 school year for which you're applying. You will also need to indicate your college grade level when you begin the 21 to 22 academic year. For high school students, you'll be attending for the first time, having never attended. If you are dually enrolled or have taken classes at a college, you can also indicate that this is your first year, having earned some credit. Next, I'll ask you what your degree or certificate will be, what degree or certificate you will be working towards when you begin college for the 21 to 22 school year. Please indicate that you'll be working towards your first bachelor's degree. This will ensure that you are considered for the maximum amount of financial aid available to you. The last question in this section asks if you will have your first bachelor's degree before you begin school in the 21 to 22 year. High school students will always answer this no. Next, it'll ask you if you're interested in work study. Work study is a federally funded program that allows students to earn an income while working on campus. If you're interested in work study and working on campus at Cerritos College, please note that you'll need to follow up with financial aid and complete the paper form located on our website. Due to the pandemic, we are not able to hire work study students at the moment, but we're hoping to be back at full capacity for the fall 2021 semester. Please continue to check back with financial aid for more information. After students' demographics, you will enter into the school selection choice. Here, you'll need to select the 10 schools that you would like to receive your FAFSA. Please note that you are limited to 10 schools per transaction. If you're applying to more than 10 schools, you can make additional corrections on your FAFSA to remove schools that received your FAFSA and provide the new schools that you're applying to. Please keep in mind that after you've received all your acceptances from the schools and universities you've applied to, you'll need to go back into your FAFSA and do one final check through the school selection section to prioritize your top 10 schools. In addition to selecting the schools, you'll also need to select a housing status for each campus. The statuses are on campus, with parent, or off campus. For Cerritos College, we do not have dorms on campus for our students, so this would not be an option that you can select. For all other campuses who have housing on campus, if you select on campus, you should be considered for housing grants if they're available. Again, we want our students to apply for the maximum amount of financial aid, so if you're thinking about living on campus at any particular school, we suggest that you indicate that on the FAFSA so that you can be considered for housing grant. The next section is students' dependency status. For financial aid purposes, students are typically considered to be dependent until the age of 24. The next couple slides will show you other ways that you can be considered an independent student as you complete the questions under dependency. First, the application will ask you what is your marital status as of today. Most students will be indicating single. If you have been married, remarried, separated, divorced, or widowed, you will be required to provide a date for which that event occurred. Next, you'll be asked if you have any dependents. Dependents are either children of your own or anyone else who is living with you and whom you are supporting more than 51% of their support. Most high school students will be answering no to these questions. Next, you'll be asked about your homeless status. If you answer yes to this question, you will be considered an independent student for financial aid purposes and not required to report parent information. This particular question will also be used to consider you for Chafee grant qualification. The Chafee grant is available to students who are homeless or are self-supporting and at risk of being homeless. Depending on how you progress through those questions, most students will see that they are a dependent student. Here, you will be asked if you will provide parent information. You need to provide parent information in order to submit and successfully process your application. If, for any reason, you are unable to provide parent information, please make sure to reach out to our financial aid office for further assistance. Next, you'll enter the parent demographics section. First question you'll see asks about your parents' marital status. This is as of the date that you're submitting your FAFSA. There are a number of marital status options for your parent. Married, remarried, never married, divorced, separated, unmarried, living together, or widow. It's important not to include your parent's boyfriend or girlfriend in the household if they are not legally married. Now you'll be asked to provide more information for your parents. First, you'll be asked to provide Parent 1 information. Please make note who you have indicated as Parent 1 and Parent 2. You'll need this information later on. Here is where you would provide your parent's social security number, their name, date of birth, and email address. If your parents do not have a social security number, please provide 9 zeros in place of the social. Do not provide a DACA number nor an ITIN number. You will also be asked if your parents have lived in California for at least 5 years. Please be aware that this is not an immigration question. The questions and information in this application will only ever be used for financial aid purposes. You'll also be asked to provide more information about your household. Depending on how many parents you provide information for in the application, you'll see a number here, either 1 or 2. For this particular student, we provided 2 parents on their application. You'll also see 1 indicating yourself. Then you'll need to account for any other siblings in the household for which your parent are providing at least half of their support through the next academic year. This will include younger as well as older siblings. You'll also have an opportunity to account for anyone else who is in the household. Here's where you can provide information for additional dependents that your parent is providing at least 51% of their support for. This includes people like grandparents, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, etc. Remember, your parent has to be providing at least 51% of their financial support. Next, you'll be asked about number in college. Based on the number in household, you'll need to indicate how many of those individuals will be attending college for the same academic year as yourself. Make sure to account for yourself as well as any younger or older siblings who will be enrolled at least half-time. This can be enrollment in an undergraduate or graduate program. Next, you'll be asked for information regarding your parents' tax filings. If your parents filed their taxes in 2019, you'll need to indicate what tax filing status they filed. You'll then be instructed to utilize the data retrieval tool, which allows you to link your parents' income information directly from their taxes into the FAFSA application. Please note that if your parents are married filing separate, they will not be able to utilize DRT and they will need to input that information manually. You'll also be asked for additional information regarding your parents' employment status. Dislocated worker is someone who is able to work but who is currently unemployed. You can either be unemployed by being laid off or furloughed. Next, you'll be asked about federal benefits program information and whether or not your parents have utilized any of those resources. This is to help the application determine your eligibility for the Simplified Needs Test. Simplified Needs Test allows you to skip additional questions regarding your parents' asset information. Next, you'll be asked about additional financial information and untaxed income information that is not provided on your parents' taxes. This is where you can account for any child support paid or received for your parents' children. You also will need to review your parents' W-2 in order to see tax deferment pension and retirement savings plans paid into. Please note that you're only looking in boxes 12A through 12D on the W-2 for codes D, E, F, G, H, and S. Do not include amounts with code DD. Depending on how you progress through those questions, you may not have to provide parent asset information. The application may ask you, do you want to skip questions about your parents' assets? You can simply indicate yes and move forward. If you decide that you would like to provide parent asset information, you'll need to answer additional questions regarding cash, savings, and checking accounts, parent investment information, including real estate, but not their primary residence, as well as additional business and farm investments if they have a business with over 100 employees. The last section you'll need to complete before you can sign and submit is the student financials information section. Here's where students will indicate earnings from 2019. If you worked in 2019 and did not have to file taxes because you earned less than $12,200, you can indicate that you will not file your taxes and progress through to provide information from your W-2. If you did not work at all in 2019, you will not be reporting any earnings. Next, you'll be asked if you're a preparer. Remember, this is rare. If you are completing the application yourself and with your parent, then you will indicate no, you are not a preparer and move on. Next, you'll need to review your FAFSA and DREAM Act application. Review all the information that you submitted before you submit the application. Once you submit, you'll be asked to sign using your FSA ID. Next, your parent will also be required to sign the application if you're considered a dependent student. Parents can sign using their FSA ID if they were able to create one, or they can print a signature page and mail that into FAFSA directly. The mailing address will be provided on the signature page. Once you have successfully submitted your application, you'll see a confirmation page congratulating you on your successful completion and also displaying your estimated expected family contribution number. This is the number that financial aid will use as a starting point for understanding your financial need. You'll see additional information regarding Pell Grant estimates as well as direct Stafford loan estimates for full-time students. If you are one of our Cerritos Complete Partner schools, we do want to remind you of the 5 eligibility steps for Cerritos College in order to receive 2 years of free tuition and additional assistance. Today we're reviewing Step 2, Part A, which is to submit your FAFSA or DREAM Act application by March 2nd. Part B is to complete any additional paperwork to Cerritos College. This will be due by April 30th. Starting in March, you will see emails from our office if we need you to submit additional documents. Please continue to check your student portal through My Cerritos as well as your email address for more. As a Cerritos Complete Promise Program partner, we do have additional assistance for you in submitting your FAFSA or DREAM Act. On the left-hand side of the screen, you see that we have our daily FAFSA and DREAM Act Zoom sessions where we're able to assist you with completing the application process. On the right-hand side, you'll see we also have our weekly financial aid Zoom sessions where you can meet with myself, Natalie Gordon, on Mondays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Our meeting room is 929-0803-3093, and the passcode is 2021. Please join one of our sessions before March 2nd to submit your FAFSA or DREAM Act and to be considered for the maximum amount of financial aid. We also want to make sure you're aware of our 4 easy steps to cash for financial aid at Cerritos College. You'll see we have the same 4 steps for FAFSA applicants as well as DREAM Act applicants. Today we reviewed the step number 1, which is to apply. Step number 2 is Part B, which is submit forms by April 30th. This will ensure that you have your financial aid awards available to review before school starts for fall 2021. After you've reviewed your awards, you'll be ready to receive your financial aid disbursements starting the first day of school. For more information, please visit us at www.cerritos.edu/FinAid. Thank you and have a great day.